My parents chose my brother over me, but now he's in prison, begging for my help. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, you'll understand what I'm about to say. I learned early that my role was the good kid, quiet, careful, never the center of attention. My brother Ethan was the star. No matter what he did, straight A's or detention, football trophies or fights behind the gym, he was always the son my parents revolved around. They didn't just choose him over me. They made it their mission. It started small, birthday gifts a little bigger for him, extra praise at the dinner table, my science fair ribbons pushed to the back of the fridge behind Ethan's soccer medals. When he crashed Mom's car at 16, I covered for him. When Dad's watch went missing, I found it under Ethan's mattress and never told a soul. My reward? Silence, a pat on the shoulder, then the familiar ache of being overlooked. But that ache turned to anger in college, when my parents drained my savings to pay Ethan's bail after his first arrest. "He needs us more than you do," Mom said, voice trembling. "You're strong. He's lost." I moved out, cut off contact, built my own life from the pieces they left behind. For years, I tried not to look back. I told myself I didn't care. I built a career, found love, learned how to celebrate my own wins, quietly, alone. But the pain never really left. I watched my brother spiral from afar. Each new arrest, another wound reopened. Last week, it all crashed back. A letter arrived, the envelope marked with Ethan's messy scrawl. Inside, a plea from prison. "You're all I have left. Please, I need you. I'm scared." I stared at his words for hours, bitterness swirling with something softer I didn't want to name. He was the reason I'd lost my family. Now he wanted me to save him. I folded the letter, hands shaking. The old ache was back, sharper than ever. But this time, I was done being invisible. I was going to find out exactly why Ethan was desperate, and if he truly deserved my help. That's when I noticed something scrawled on the back of the letter. "Don't trust Mom and Dad. They're hiding something." My heart dropped. The past wasn't done with me yet. I couldn't sleep that night. Ethan's words gnawed at me, refusing to let go. "Don't trust Mom and Dad. They're hiding something." It sounded paranoid, classic Ethan. But the part that scared me most was how quickly my brain started spinning through old memories, searching for cracks I'd never wanted to see. By sunrise, I found myself driving through my childhood neighborhood. The house looked the same. Fresh paint, trimmed hedges, that old blue porch swaying in the breeze. For years, I'd avoided this place, telling myself I'd moved on. But now, every corner seemed haunted. My parents greeted me with tight, cautious smiles. Mom pulled me into a hug that felt too practiced. Dad clapped me on the back, avoiding my eyes. The living room was filled with Ethan's high school trophies, photos of him grinning at every milestone. Not a single picture of me past the age of 10. We made small talk, weather, work, meaningless things. I watched Mom fidget with her wedding ring, Dad glancing at the clock every few minutes. Finally, I cleared my throat. I got a letter from Ethan. They froze. Mom's knuckles turned white. "Did you?" she managed, forcing a smile. "How is he?" "He says you're hiding something. That I shouldn't trust you." A heavy silence settled. Dad's jaw tightened. "He's in a bad place. You know how he is. He always blames others for his mistakes." "He's scared," I said quietly. "He's begging for help." Mom's voice cracked. "We've done everything for him. Everything. Sometimes people can't be saved, no matter how hard you try." Her words should have comforted me, but they landed like stones in my chest. Something wasn't right. Their eyes darted to each other, as if measuring how much to reveal. As I left, Mom squeezed my hand, her nails digging in. "Let the past go. Promise me, okay?" I didn't answer. That night, as I was unlocking my apartment, I noticed an envelope taped to my door. No address, just my name. Inside, a single flash drive and a note in shaky handwriting. "If you want the truth about your brother, watch this alone." A chill crept over me. Was Ethan the only one with secrets in this family? I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the flash drive like it might bite. The apartment was silent except for the faint hum of the fridge. My pulse thudded in my ears as I slid the drive into my laptop, half expecting it to do nothing, half expecting it to explode my whole reality. A single video file. I hesitated, then pressed play. The footage was grainy, shot from a hidden angle in a dimly lit room. At first, all I saw were shadows. Then, my father's voice, unmistakable, low and urgent. You need to get out of this, Ethan. If you go down, we all go down. My breath caught. I leaned forward as Ethan appeared on screen, younger, jittery, head in his hands. It's too late, he whispered. They know about the money. They know I forged your signature. My father cursed under his breath, then reached for something out of frame. We'll make it disappear. But this is the last time. You understand me? The video cut out. Just like that, gone. My hands shook as I rewound it. Replayed every word. My father, always the calm, upright man, had covered for Ethan. Worse, he'd risked everything to keep the family secret buried. No wonder my parents looked haunted. But there was more. On the flash drive, a folder of scanned documents, forged bank forms, wire transfers, account statements with numbers I didn't recognize. All signed with my father's name. Some with mine. They'd lied for Ethan. Lied to protect themselves. And somewhere along the way, they'd dragged me into it too. I barely slept. By morning, my resentment burned with new fuel. My whole life, I'd been the responsible one, the invisible one. All the while, my parents were building a fortress of lies around Ethan, and I was just another brick in their wall. I called Ethan's prison, demanding a visit. I needed to look my brother in the eye, to ask him what the hell he'd gotten us into, and why. After all these years, he was finally asking me for help. As I hung up, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Not everyone in your family wants the truth to come out. Be careful who you trust. My blood ran cold. The real danger was just beginning. The prison loomed ahead, all gray concrete and razor wire. My stomach twisted with every step toward the entrance. I'd rehearsed 1,000 angry speeches in the car, but as I walked through the metal detectors and heard the heavy doors slam behind me, my resolve felt thin and brittle. The guard led me to the visitor's room, a harsh, fluorescent box filled with bolted-down chairs and desperate conversations. Ethan sat at the far end, hands cuffed to the table, looking smaller than I remembered. He wore exhaustion like a second skin, dark circles under his eyes, but when he saw me, hope flickered in his gaze. I sat down, waiting for the words to come. But Ethan spoke first. You got the flash drive? I nodded. Why now? Why tell me all this after years of lies? He looked away, jaw clenched. I didn't have a choice. They're pinning everything on me. I thought Dad would fix it again. But now they've cut me off. Said it's time I take the fall. The bitterness in his voice was sharp. I wanted to be angry, but something in his eyes made me pause. You forged his signature. You stole from them. And they still protected you. Why? He laughed, hollow, broken. Because I'm their investment. Their second chance. You never needed saving. I always did. I shook my head. That's not true. You chose this, Ethan. You took everything. My savings, my trust, our family, and trashed it. He slammed his fists on the table, chains rattling. I know, okay? But there's more. The money? It wasn't just mine. Dad was laundering cash for people, bad people. When things went south, I became the scapegoat. My mind spun. Dad, laundering money? None of it made sense. But the fear in Ethan's voice was real. They'll come after you next, he said, lowering his voice. You're on those documents too. You think Mom and Dad were ever protecting me? They were protecting themselves. You're just collateral. The guard tapped his baton, signaling time was up. Ethan leaned in, desperate. You have to help me. Please. Find the account. Clear my name. Or we're both finished. I left the prison, reeling. Outside, a black car idled by the curb, its windows tinted. As I walked past, the driver's gaze caught mine. A warning, cold and unmistakable. Danger was closer than I ever imagined. I hurried to my car, glancing back at the black sedan as I fumbled with my keys. The engine revved softly, then the car pulled away, but not before I caught a glimpse of the driver, someone I'd never seen, but whose stare made my skin crawl. I sat in my car for a full minute, heart pounding, trying to process what Ethan had said. I was collateral. They were all willing to let me go down if it meant saving themselves. I drove home on autopilot, replaying Ethan's words. My phone buzzed, a new text from that same unknown number. If you care about your future, drop this. Some things aren't worth the truth. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't. I needed answers. If Dad really was laundering money, if Mom really knew, Then my whole childhood had been built on a lie, and I was tangled in it, whether I liked it or not. That night, I dug through old boxes in my closet, searching for anything Dad might have left behind. Tucked in an envelope marked Taxes 2014, I found a sheet of paper with a list of names and numbers. Most meant nothing to me, but one caught my eye, a string of numbers that looked like a bank account, and beneath it, a city and branch I'd never heard mentioned at home. I stared at it, pulse racing. Was this the account Ethan wanted me to find? Did Dad think it was hidden for good? Suddenly, there was a knock at my door, 3 sharp, impatient raps. I jumped, shoving the envelope into my pocket. Through the peephole, I saw my mother, her face pale and pinched. When I opened the door, she pushed past me, voice tight with fear. "We need to talk. You're digging into things you don't understand." I tried to keep my voice calm. "You lied to me. You lied for him. For Dad." "Why?" Her eyes filled with tears. "We did what we had to. For the family. For survival." I handed her the slip of paper, watching her face drain of color. "What is this, Mom? Tell me the truth. I deserve to know." She pressed the paper back into my hand, her voice a whisper. "If you love us, you'll burn it and walk away. Because if you don't, none of us are safe." A chill ran through me. I was in deeper than I'd ever realized. And for the first time, I wondered if the family I'd spent my whole life longing for was really worth saving. I barely slept, turning my mother's words over and over in my mind. "If you love us, you'll burn it and walk away." For years, I'd craved her approval, tried to earn a place at her table, even if it meant swallowing my anger and pain. Now, for the first time, I wondered what loving my family had really cost me. By morning, exhaustion gave way to clarity. I needed answers. I skipped work and drove to the address linked to the bank account on the slip of paper, a small branch 2 towns over, hidden among strip malls and pawn shops. I rehearsed a story in my head. I was handling some estate affairs, needed to check on an old account. My hands trembled as I slid the paper across the counter to the teller. She glanced at it, then frowned. "One moment, please." She disappeared into a back office. Minutes dragged by, my anxiety building. When she returned, she was accompanied by a manager, a man with a practiced, polite smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm sorry, sir," he said, "but there's no active account under this number. In fact, this branch hasn't handled accounts like this for years." He handed back the slip, but his fingers lingered a moment too long. "If someone contacts you about this account, let us know immediately." My heart hammered. That felt like a warning. As I left, I saw the same black car parked across the street. A figure watched me from behind tinted glass. At home, I called Ethan, demanding answers. "The account is dead, Ethan. They're all pretending it never existed." He cursed under his breath. "Of course, Dad's covered every track, but there's got to be something left. Check his office. Look for a red notebook. He kept everything there." Just then, my phone beeped, a new message. "Last warning. Stop digging, or you'll regret it." That night, I broke into my parents' house, heart racing, praying I wouldn't get caught. I slipped into Dad's office, searching drawers and shelves until finally, at the back of a locked cabinet, I found it, a battered red notebook. Inside were notes, codes, and names, dozens of people, hundreds of transactions. Some names I recognized from family parties. Others sent a chill down my spine. A floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around, clutching the notebook, and found my father standing in the doorway, face ashen, eyes cold. "We need to have a talk," he said quietly. "Before you make a mistake no one can fix." For a moment, we just stared at each other, me clutching the red notebook, Dad blocking the only exit. The look in his eyes was colder than I'd ever seen. The mask of the patient, dependable father was gone, replaced by something I barely recognized, fear. He shut the door softly behind him, voice low and measured. "You weren't supposed to find that." My throat tightened. "Then maybe you shouldn't have left a trail. What is all this? Money laundering? Cover-ups? Why drag me into it?" He sighed, rubbing his temples. "You think I wanted any of this? I did what I had to do for this family. For Ethan, for your mother, for you. For me." My voice cracked. "You stole my future. You spent my savings, my trust, everything I built for myself. And then you pinned your mess on Ethan and me." Dad sat heavily on the edge of his desk, shoulders sagging. "You don't understand what these people are capable of. I tried to keep you out, But once Ethan forged your name, it was too late. You let him. You let him drag us all down. He looked up, pain flickering across his face. He's my son. I thought I could save him just one more time. But every time I fixed things, it got worse. I flipped through the notebook, scanning the list of names and cryptic notes. Payments, favors, debts. Who are these people, Dad? Why are they threatening me now? He flinched. Some of them aren't people you can go to the police about. They want their money. They want silence. And if they think you'll talk. He didn't finish the sentence. We sat in the thick, suffocating silence. Finally, he whispered, "Burn that book. Destroy it. And pray they forget your name." But as he spoke, I realized I couldn't trust him. Not anymore. If I did nothing, Ethan would rot in prison for crimes my father orchestrated. If I exposed everything, I'd be risking my life, and possibly my parents. My hands trembled, torn between justice and fear. Suddenly, Dad's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his face went even paler. "They know you found the notebook," he whispered. "You need to leave now." Terror surged through me. But something stronger rose to the surface, resolve. I tucked the red notebook inside my jacket and slipped past Dad, heart racing. As I disappeared into the night, I realized I'd finally crossed a line. There was no going back. I didn't go home. I drove for hours, the city blurring past in streaks of neon and rain. Every time I checked my mirrors, I half expected to see headlights locked on my tail. I knew I was being watched. The notebook in my jacket felt like a live wire, burning through my resolve and my fear. I parked in a shadowed corner of a 24-hour diner and called Ethan's lawyer, someone I barely knew, but who answered on the second ring. "I need to talk," I whispered. "I have evidence. I think my family is in real danger." He told me to meet him at his office, discreetly. "Don't bring your phone. Don't tell anyone where you're going." I left my cell in the glove box and walked, heart pounding, clutching the notebook under my coat. The lawyer, M.S. Patel, was younger than I'd expected, sharp-eyed and steady-voiced. When I handed her the notebook, she flipped through the pages, her expression growing grimmer with each entry. "This is a ledger," she said, "and a death sentence if the wrong people know you have it. Can it help Ethan?" I asked. She nodded. "It proves he wasn't acting alone. It ties your father, and possibly others, to everything. But if you go public, you'll be painting a target on your back. Are you prepared for that?" I hesitated. My whole life, I'd been the one who kept my head down, who kept secrets. But that person was gone. I don't want to run anymore. I want the truth out. She made copies of the notebook and locked the original in her safe. "I'll take this to the DA in the morning. But you need to lay low. They'll come looking." I spent the night on a stranger's couch, an old friend who owed me a favor, the kind you don't talk about. Every noise outside made me flinch. My mind raced with possibilities. Would my parents try to run? Would the people behind those names come for me first? Would Ethan survive long enough to see the truth set him free? Just before dawn, my phone, left powered off all night, buzzed with a flood of new messages. The last one made my blood run cold. "You made your choice. Hope you're ready to pay for it." A car engine roared outside. Someone knew where I was. The reckoning was about to begin. A fist hammered on the door just after sunrise. My heart nearly stopped. Ms. Patel's warning echoed in my mind as I scanned the tiny apartment for an escape. My friend Jamie, still half asleep, poked her head out of the bedroom, worry creasing her brow. "Who is it?" she whispered. Another set of hard knocks. I crept to the window and peeked through the blinds. Two men in suits, one of them scanning the street, the other gripping a phone. I took a shaky breath, pulling the red notebook from my bag. I had to get out. Jamie opened the back window, her hands shaking as badly as mine. "Go. Don't say anything. I never saw you, okay?" I nodded, slipping into the alley and keeping low. The city was waking up, but to me, every stranger was a threat. I ducked into a nearby laundromat, my mind racing. I texted Ms. Patel from a burner phone. "2 men at my door. What do I do?" She replied almost instantly. "Do not engage. They may be from the DA's office, or they may not. Head to the public library. There are cameras. I'll meet you there." I moved quickly, ducking through alleys, heart pounding so hard I felt dizzy. Inside the library, I hid in a corner between dusty encyclopedias, clutching the notebook, my nerves frayed to threads. 20 minutes later, Ms. Patel appeared, businesslike but tense. "We have a window." The DA is interested, but word's gotten out. There are people in law enforcement who want this buried. She scanned my face. You need protection. Witness status. If you hand this over, you'll never get your old life back. Are you sure? I thought about everything I'd lost already. My childhood, my family, my peace. I'm sure. She nodded, pulling out her phone. I'll make the call. Stay right here. As she spoke in hushed tones, I noticed a man in the lobby, one of the men from the apartment, now watching us from across the room. I ducked lower, every muscle taut. When Ms. Patel finished, her face was grave. The DA wants to meet. Now, they can offer protection, but you have to move. We don't know who else is listening. We hurried out a side door. My life as I knew it, my name, my future, maybe even my safety, was slipping away with every step. But I kept going, clutching the truth. For Ethan, for myself, for all the forgotten kids. I just prayed it would be enough. The DA's office was a fortress compared to everywhere else I'd been that week. Buzzers, bulletproof glass, grim-faced officers eyeing everyone who entered. Ms. Patel and I were ushered through a maze of hallways to a conference room, where a pair of federal agents waited, flanking a woman with tired, sharp eyes and a badge that read Assistant District Attorney. She wasted no time. You have the notebook? Ms. Patel slid over the copies, keeping the original for leverage. My client needs protection. His brother's life is at stake. So is his. I watched the ADA scan the pages, her expression shifting from skepticism to shock to something close to fear. She looked at me. This blows open 3 years of unsolved cases. You understand what this means? The people in this book aren't small time. If we move, it'll get ugly fast. I understand, I said, but I can't keep running. She nodded, all business. You'll both be placed in temporary witness protection. Your parents, your whole family, will be investigated. If what's here is true, Ethan could have his conviction overturned. But we'll need your testimony. Every detail. I thought of Ethan in that sterile prison room, hands trembling, still hoping someone might finally believe him. I thought of my parents, still clinging to secrets. I nodded. I'll tell you everything. As the agents whisked us away, adrenaline gave way to an exhausted numbness. The city blurred outside the tinted car windows. My phone, now surrendered, was my last tie to the world I'd known. I realized with a pang that Jamie, my old friend, might also be at risk now. I made a silent promise to help her, if I ever could. We were settled into a safe house on the edge of the city, a generic apartment where the silence rang with what-ifs and regrets. Ms. Patel brought updates. Ethan would be moved to protective custody. The DA's team had begun raids, unspooling a web of corruption that ran deeper than I'd guessed. Late that night, as rain lashed the windows, a single thought kept circling in my mind. Even if Ethan walked free, nothing would ever be the same. My parents would finally face justice, or ruin. And I, the forgotten son, was now the key to my family's undoing. But there was no way back. Only forward, into the storm. The days blurred together in the safe house. I watched the news in stunned silence as headlines exploded. Local family at center of criminal scandal. Money laundering ring uncovered. My parents' names were everywhere, their faces flickering across the screen. I couldn't look away, even as the guilt gnawed at me. Ms. Patel updated me daily. Your father was arrested this morning, she told me, her voice gentle. Your mother's cooperating. She's scared, but she's talking. The reality hit hard. The family I'd spent years trying to win over was unraveling in front of the whole world. I wondered if Ethan knew. The DA kept us apart, citing security. I wrote him letters I never sent, trying to explain the impossible, that I'd chosen the truth, even if it meant burning what little we had left. A week in, a government van arrived at dawn. 2 agents led me out, bulletproof vests, sunglasses, no words. At the courthouse, I sat under blinding lights and told the truth about the notebook, the laundering, my father's threats, my mother's fear, and Ethan's desperation. I saw lawyers scribbling, reporters craning for a glimpse, my voice echoing off marble and glass. It felt like standing naked before the world. After my testimony, I was returned to the safe house, nerves shredded, hope hanging by a thread. That night, Ms. Patel brought news. Ethan's case is moving. The DA believes he was a pawn. You saved him. Relief warred with exhaustion. I wanted to celebrate, but I could only stare at the ceiling, listening to the rain and thinking about the cost. My parents would likely go to prison. Ethan would be free, but what would be left between us? Could we ever rebuild trust after so much betrayal? A sudden knock jolted me from my thoughts. A guard opened the door, nodding. "Visitor for you." I stepped into the hallway, my heart pounding as I saw Ethan. Free, thinner, but alive, his eyes shining with gratitude and regret. For the first time in years, we were face to face, two brothers, all secrets laid bare, with only the uncertain future ahead. For a moment, neither of us moved. The weight of years, resentment, rivalry, disappointment, hung in the sterile hallway between us. Ethan's face was thinner, but there was a new humility in his eyes, a rawness I'd never seen. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream at him for everything he'd put me through. Instead, my voice cracked. "You made it out." He nodded, voice barely above a whisper. "Because of you. I don't know how to thank you, or if you'll ever forgive me." I shook my head, not trusting myself to speak. Ethan stepped forward, and in a moment that felt both foreign and familiar, we embraced. It wasn't perfect, there was too much pain between us for that, but it was real. For the first time, I wasn't just the forgotten son or the dutiful sibling. I was simply his brother. We sat together in the tiny visitor's lounge, the hum of vending machines and distant shouts from guards our only soundtrack. He told me about his time inside, the fear, the loneliness, the slow realization that our parents' love was always conditional, transactional. I told him about the notebook, the raids, the decision to finally choose myself over their endless approval. Ethan shook his head. "They broke us, didn't they?" I met his gaze. "Maybe, but we don't have to let them keep us broken." He smiled, a real one, tired but hopeful. "What happens now?" I thought about the DA, the looming trial, the media circus, the way our names had become headlines and warnings for other families. We tell the truth. All of it. No more hiding. No more protecting them at our expense. We figure out who we are outside their shadow. For the first time, Ethan didn't look away. He squeezed my shoulder, a silent promise. "Together, this time." I nodded, feeling the first flicker of something I hadn't felt in years, possibility. Maybe we could build something honest out of the ruins. Maybe, even with scars, we could choose a different ending. But as we stood to leave, a guard appeared, tense. "We need to move. There's been a security breach. Your safe house may not be safe anymore." Ethan and I exchanged a look, equal parts fear and determination. We weren't out of the woods yet, but at least we were facing it, side by side. We were hustled out a back entrance, escorted by a pair of grim-faced agents. The courthouse loomed behind us, a fortress that suddenly felt flimsy. Ethan kept glancing over his shoulder. I felt exposed, like the whole city could see us trembling. In the armored SUV, an agent's radio crackled with urgent voices. "Possible tail on the safe house. Stay alert. Suspect vehicle, black sedan, no plates." The notebook, the testimony, everything we'd done had started a chain reaction, one I wasn't sure we could control. Ethan squeezed my hand, his grip clammy but strong. "If anything happens," he said, "you did the right thing. You did more than any of them ever would." I shook my head. "We're not done yet." We were taken to a new location. This time, a bleak hotel on the edge of town, guarded on every floor. The windows were sealed. The phone in our room had no outside line. Ms. Patel arrived an hour later, her face set with determination. "You're both targets now," she said, voice tight. "We've uncovered more names. Cops, city officials, people your parents worked with. This is bigger than we thought. You need to be prepared for a fight. It won't be over soon." Ethan slumped into a chair, face buried in his hands. "We were just kids. How did it come to this?" Ms. Patel put a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes the hardest thing is being the one who finally tells the truth." Later that night, sleep was impossible. I stood by the window, staring into the neon blur of the city. Everything I'd known was gone. My parents, the house, the illusion of safety. But I had Ethan. For the first time, it felt like enough. Suddenly, a slip of paper was pushed under the door. My heart lurched. I picked it up, hands shaking. "You think you're safe? The past always finds you." I backed away from the door, adrenaline flooding my veins. Ethan saw my face and went pale. We were running out of places to hide. But I refused to let fear decide our ending. Not anymore. The next morning, sunlight barely pierced the dingy hotel curtains. Neither of us had slept. We paced the room, nerves raw, jumping at every sound from the hallway. The slip of paper burned in my pocket, a reminder that our enemies were still watching, waiting for us to slip. MS. Patel called, her voice tense. It's time. The DA wants you both in court for the preliminary hearing. Security will be tight, but you'll be under oath. After this, there's no turning back. Ethan nodded, jaw set. I'm done running. I want to look them in the eye, every last one. The courthouse was a fortress now, metal detectors, armed guards, reporters swarming the steps. Inside, the tension was electric. My parents were there, in custody, looking smaller and older than I'd ever seen them. Mom's eyes found mine, pleading for forgiveness she hadn't earned. Dad stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, defeated. The judge called us forward. My voice shook at first, but each truth spoken gave me strength. Ethan spoke after me. No more bravado, just raw honesty about his role, about the manipulation and lies that had haunted our family for years. Lawyers pressed us for details. Did you ever profit from the crimes? No. Were you coerced? Yes. By fear, by family, by love that always had a price. When it was over, the judge recessed, and Ms. Patel hugged us tightly. You did it. Now we wait for indictments, for justice to move. Outside, reporters shouted questions. I ignored them. For the first time, I felt light, scared, but free. That night, Ethan and I sat on the hotel balcony, watching city lights flicker. He broke the silence. If they walk free, what do we do? I looked at my brother, the only family I truly had left. We keep living. Not for them. For us. A message pinged my new phone. You survived. Don't waste it. Time to build something new. I smiled through tears. For the first time, I believed it. The past might never let go, but it no longer owned me. Tomorrow, our real life would finally begin. Morning crept into the hotel room, gentle and golden, casting light on the last of our shadows. Ethan was already up, watching the city wake below. His face looked softer, older, maybe, but somehow lighter too. Couldn't sleep? I asked, settling beside him on the balcony. He shook his head, then smiled, small and real. For the first time in years, it doesn't feel like the world's about to end. We sat in silence, letting the newness of hope settle between us. My mind wandered to our parents. Their trial was set, their fate uncertain. I still felt the sting of betrayal, the ache for what we'd lost. But I was no longer defined by it. For so long, I'd lived in the shadow of their choices. Now, the future stretched out, unwritten, daunting, but truly mine. Ethan nudged me. You ever think about just leaving it all? New city, new names, start over. I thought about it. Maybe. Or maybe we finally stay somewhere, build something real. Together, for once. He nodded, emotion catching in his throat. I'd like that. I don't know what comes next, but I want to do better. I want to be better. For both of us. The sun cleared the skyline, painting the city in gold and possibility. I closed my eyes and breathed it in. A beginning, not an ending. A message came through from Ms. Patel. Charges filed. Protective custody ends soon. Call me to discuss next steps. I looked at Ethan, gratitude swelling in my chest. We did it, I said. We actually made it. He grinned, tears shining. Yeah, and this time, no more looking back. For the first time in my life, I believed him. We turned to the sunrise, letting the past fall away with the night, ready, finally, to claim the future as our own.